If you are doing dry January this year, you are probably loving it or hating it. You probably fall into one of those camps. And we're going to be talking about why you are either loving it or hating it. You guys, it is day 14 of dry January, and that means it is episode 14 of the Going Alcohol Free podcast. Hi, I'm Lise. I'm your host. I'm so glad that you're here. How's it going? We are going to be talking about if you're loving it or hating it, why that is. And the other two segments that I added to this podcast, because remember, this is the 14th episode of this podcast. I cannot believe it. We are already on episode 14, day 14 of Dry January. Did you know that most podcasts, I think I heard this statistic, correct me if I'm wrong, but most podcasts don't make it past the 10th episode. I think I heard 90% of them. And hey, guess what? Together, we have made it past the 10th episode. We're on the 14th episode. And I've added two segments also to this podcast where I share one thing that I'm loving right now because I know that it will benefit you as well. And the third segment that I've added is where I share the oracle card that I pulled for myself for the day. And I share it with you guys so that you all can take the message with you, whatever the universe or God is saying through this card and through this message. And you guys can journal on it as well to tap into your intuition. It's just another way to help us improve our life. And so with that, let's talk about why you are loving it or why you are hating it. Dry January. So there's this thing, you guys. It's called the reticular activating system, RAS. I call it RAS. So you'll hear me throughout this podcast call it RAS. But how I can explain it. So this is not a science podcast, as you can tell. We are definitely more spiritual here. So I want you to think about if you are in a crowd of people or a crowded area and somebody calls your name and you are not paying attention, but you hear your name and all of a sudden you're like, look around to see who is calling your name. Out of all of the noise, like if you're at a concert or a sports event or something like that, and you hear your name, even though that person might not be speaking to you, you hear your name. Well, that is your reticular activating system. It is something that your brain is doing so that it helps you stay alive and alert. So it helps you stay alert so that you stay alive. Let me give you another example. If you are going to buy a red car, for example, and I'm just throwing this out. We all know where this car is, but let's say you are thinking about buying a red Tesla, and all of a sudden you see red Teslas everywhere. Everywhere you're driving, and all of a sudden you see that car everywhere you look. Whereas before you had never noticed that car, as you were driving around. And all of a sudden now you see it everywhere because you're thinking about buying a red Tesla. Well, that is your reticular activating system in play. Does that make more sense? So now that you yourself are aware of a red Tesla, now you are starting to see it everywhere. Your brain, this reticular activating system, is starting to pick up on it everywhere you look, wherever you go. The reason we have this is to help us stay alive and alert. So going back to that example where you're in a crowded situation and you hear so many voices and all of a sudden you kind of hear your name. Well, that's your brain. It's keeping you alive. It's helping to keep you alive. That's what this system in our brain does. Well, the reason why you are either loving dry January or hating dry January is partly because your reticular activating system is in play. And your thoughts, so those silent sentences in your mind, your thoughts about dry January, as you are thinking these thoughts, your brain is scanning your environment and everything for, or I should say, to support your thoughts about dry January. So, for example, if you are saying, you know what? Look at my skin. My skin is glowing. I'm loving this. I'm loving how I'm looking. Your reticular activating system is going to also seek out other ways that dry January is benefiting you and supporting you. And therefore, your thoughts are also going to continue upon the path of, wow, I'm really enjoying this dry January. It's easier than I thought it would be. I'm enjoying not drinking. I'm enjoying waking up without hangovers. It's going to continue to support those thoughts. But if you are in the other camp where you are not enjoying dry January or you are hating dry January, your thoughts might be something like this. Man, I'm missing out on so much fun. I'm so stressed. I've got to go to this party. And how am I going to tell people that I'm not drinking and I don't know what to say? And so is not supporting me. That's in yesterday's episode. Go watch that episode if you have unsupportive friends in episode number 13. And yeah, there's your reticular activating system, your RAS system, is now going to start picking up on all these ways that dry January is hard for you. And therefore, you are going to be hating dry January and cannot wait for it to be over, or are going to break dry January or quit dry January. So, your reticular activating system is helping you, it's supporting you find more evidence as to what you are already thinking about dry January. So, if you are loving dry January, keep doing what you're doing. Okay? Keep doing what you're doing because your reticular activating system is going to continue to look for ways for you to love dry January. But if you are in the other camp of not enjoying dry January, what I would like for you to do is to catch yourself thinking those thoughts when you are below the line. And I taught this tool this past week or last week, where we are catching our thoughts that are below the line that are not serving us. So if you want to stick with dry January, then I want you to try this. When you're catching your thoughts about how hard it is and nobody's supporting you, or your friends aren't supporting you, or you don't know what to say when you go to parties, or you really want that glass of wine and it's calling your name at the end of the day, notice those thoughts, those silent sentences in your mind that you're telling yourself. Notice them. They are below the line. Those are thoughts that are not serving you. So those are thoughts below the line. And how can you switch them to thoughts that are above the line? Thoughts that are serving you, such as, I know I really want a glass of wine right now, but I can do this dry January. I can do hard things. It's going to be worth it. I started doing this challenge for a reason. These are my reasons why. And revisit your deep why you are doing this challenge in the first place, because that's your fuel that's going to keep you going. And then switch your brain into reticular activating system, switch it to help find uh, things that are going on in your environment that support those above the line thoughts. And then you will notice that you will start enjoying dry January more. I promise you. I promise you that once you are catching yourself and noticing yourself that, hey, there's only 2 weeks left. I can do this. It's going to be worth it. Even if you've fallen off and you haven't stayed on track like you have wanted to, that's okay. Just be mindful of your thoughts. Be aware of your thoughts, and your reticular activating system, your RAS system, will find evidence to support your above the line thoughts so that you start to enjoy dry January more, because we only have 2 weeks left, you guys. That's it. Okay. So I just wanted to share that with you. If you are loving it or hating it, I get you. I understand. I feel you. Trust me. And I did mention yesterday that the last 2 weeks of dry January, we're going to have a lot of fun. So I just want to share before we get into what I'm loving now, what I have planned for us for the next 2 weeks. We are going to have themed weeks for the next 2 weeks. So each week is going to have a special theme to it, and it's going to make dry January fly by. And I think it's going to help you enjoy dry January even more. So that is my hopes and dreams for all of us, that we enjoy dry January even more than we already are. Or if you are in that camp of not enjoying dry January, we're going to help you find thoughts and ways to enjoy dry January even more, you guys. So stick with me. Follow the podcast if you aren't already. It's on your favorite podcast player. And I even record these on video so that if you are a visual learner or somebody who prefers to watch rather than listen, it's on YouTube as well. I always put the link in the description below. So let's talk about what I am loving now. I am loving doing this, and I could not wait to share this with you today. But I have added a gratitude practice to my daily journaling, and I just started it. I'm almost 30 days in, almost, not quite. But every day, I write down 3 things that I am grateful for. And I'm not allowed to repeat the same 3 things within 7 days. So I have to go 7 days without repeating what I'm grateful for. And what I have found are a couple of things that I am loving going back and looking at what I wrote in the past couple of weeks and almost 30 days ago. So I'm just loving going back and looking at what I am grateful for. And what I'm finding throughout my day is that I am grateful for the little things. It was raining the other day and I was so grateful for the rain. And I was like, oh, I can write that down today in my gratitude journal. And it was very cold the other day, and I live in Southern California. And I was just really enjoying the cold and bundling up. And I know it sounds really silly, but it doesn't hardly rain in Southern California. And it's a lot of the times it's not very cold in Southern California. So I definitely noticed those things. And I was very grateful for the experience of experiencing the cold and listening to the rain and watching the rain. And so how I do this is I do it in my phone. I use the app called Day One, and I'm not sure if they have an Android app yet, but I know that you have an iPhone app, and it's so easy to set that up. But you could use it also in your notes app on your phone, and just do a running notes app or something like that, or a piece of paper, a gratitude journal. You can buy something on Amazon. But I'm using Day One. I'm really loving that app. It is a paid app, I believe. Yeah, no, it is a paid app, but it's very nominal. And I highly recommend that you guys consider adding this little uh, gratitude routine into your daily life. It will do nothing but improve your life, I promise you. And that's why I just could not wait to share that with you. I didn't think it would have such a profound effect, but it's almost like a a like a diary entry, but it's just like 3 little things, and I can just scan through them, and sometimes I add a photo. And anyway, I was just so excited to share this with you. Consider doing it. It does nothing but raise your vibe, and that's what we are all about here on this podcast, is helping us raise our vibe and rise above our habits and our drinking habits that are keeping us stuck and stressed. And with that, let's go into our last segment of the podcast. And I'm really enjoying this. You guys, I would love to hear from you. Are you enjoying this segment? Because I really want to bring only the things that you all enjoy. And if you're not enjoying it, let me know. But this is my favorite one. This is my favorite oracle. And this is from the Healing Waters Oracle deck this is from, her name is Rebecca Campbell. Rebecca Campbell, I know she's on social media. I think she might be on YouTube too. Okay, so it is just a lovely, turquoise color oracle deck. Now, let me show you the card. So, I do need my glasses here, you guys. Okay, So the card is, wow, I don't even know how to explain it. So again, I'm going to put a link down in the show notes for you to see, but it is all pastel colors with turquoise and light pink and pale pink and peach. And it says, immerse yourself. And then below immerse yourself, it says training, learning, new hobbies, passions. Again, we're in January and I am so surprised by by the cards that I am picking. And you know what, you guys, I am just picking these cards randomly. I'm not selecting them. What I get is what I get. And that's what I share with you all. So, training, learning, new hobbies, and passions. Okay. Immerse yourself. Now, this is there's a lot of questions here in the guidebook. It is two small pages, so stick with me and listen to this and ponder on the message here that I'm sharing. Again, the link to this will be down below in the show notes if you want to see what the card looks like and want to read this for yourself. But it says, follow your desire to study and learn. So those of you that are thinking about something like this, listen in. Those of you that are not, what is this message from the universe or God trying to say? Dive into what fascinates you. Immerse yourself in the topic that captivates you most. Maybe there's something you're passionate about that you're called to deepen your knowledge of through study or learning, or something you want to experience more fully. You're being encouraged to increase your wisdom and to experience life in a deeper way, to follow your passions and embark on some kind of higher and deeper learning. Now, here's the questions, okay? So listen in and ponder. What are your interests? What would you like to learn more about? What topic fascinates you? What could you talk or read about without getting bored? Which field are you most interested in? What makes you come more alive? Maybe you're being called to consider a new career or explore the possibility of training in a new field. Maybe you're being called to simply surrender to your passions and dive even deeper into them in your spare time. Education, whether traditional or experimental, can never be taken away from you. Knowledge can open the mind and light up the soul. What do you want to understand more deeply? Is there something you've been considering studying, whether in a structured way or more experientially? Is there a course or program you're interested in? Is there something you're longing to explore for yourself? What piques your interest? What could you learn about without getting bored? And then the last question is your soul inquiry. Okay, so ask your soul this: what interests you or makes you come more alive? And one of the things that drinking does for us is it really puts our soul to sleep. I don't know if you've noticed this if you haven't been drinking, but are you noticing that your soul is coming alive? I can tell you that I suppressed my soul by from alcohol for so long that like I was sleeping. I was sleepwalking throughout my life, and that's what it felt like. And as I stopped drinking and my soul started to come alive. And that's how I just know that I know that I'll never drink again. I never have told myself, oh, I can never have another drink. I've never said that to myself ever, not once, because I don't know what the future holds for me, but I can just tell you that I know that I don't, I love the way that I feel so much now that I don't want to put my soul back to sleep. That's how I guess that's the best way I can word it for you. And so as we are doing this dry January, I want you to see, is your soul starting to wake up? And that's where I want to leave you today. So the last question was, what interests you or makes you come more alive? There you go. You guys, I cannot wait to share more tomorrow about our topics for the next 2 weeks. We're going to have a weekly theme for each week going forward. So remember, follow the podcast, share the podcast. That's the best way that you guys can give back. And I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. And I'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now, everybody. Bye-bye.